Hello there.
Hello there, and welcome back to the Sky Guys podcast. A special bonus episode for you this week. We are recapping the happenings of Star Wars Celebration 2025 in the books. We got a lot of news to break down here. Since this is Andor Premiere Week, we did not want to give you a 2 hour podcast. Pete could not be here for the news recap, get his thoughts in the Andor Premiere coverage on Thursday. But with us, as always, the great Nick Fraietta is here. Nick, how are you?
Doing great. What a busy weekend it was. Celebration and Easter festivities, and it was WWE's WrestleMania. It was just a very crowded weekend with a lot going on.
Yeah, I did not participate in the WrestleMania. The first two I was definitely involved in.
Just a lot of stuff.
Yep, absolutely here. People want to subscribe to us on the Sky Guys. They can do so Apple Podcasts, Google Play, TuneIn, Spotify, Amazon, all usual suspects. Simply search for the Sky Guys, your favorite podcast platform. Helps us there. And reminder to the audience here that this is the last episode that will be in both the Mike Phillips YouTube channel and the Sky Guys YouTube channel. Going forward, all our videos are going to be just on the Sky Guys YouTube channel. So make sure you're made that switch over if you're getting them from the Mike Phillips YouTube channel.
Yeah, make the switch. Sky Guy's YouTube channel is doing, honestly, I'll say it, it's doing better than we thought it was going to do so far. So that's great. So we're excited for people to catch the episode, the video version of the episode there.
Yep, and people want to check out on social media. I can do that.
You can follow at Sky Guys Podcast pretty much everywhere and at Sky Guys Pod at gmail.com if you want to email the podcast.
Yep, you can also check out the our social media comment of the week. This is from TikTok. This is from when we had Kyle Katarn on last week. This is from Creators Company talking about how you mentioned, but we got a crazy situation with the two epic monologues in one episode. And Creators Company on TikTok says both monologues in one episode is crazy work. So he was right with you. You could not believe that both of them were in the same episode.
Yep. And you see another comment there. The whole season was great, but episodes 10 to 12 were peak. I mean, I don't disagree. I feel like it was really 8 to 10 that was the peak, but it's still no debate. 10 to 12 were also all just peak. At the end of the season was so strong. So I agree with both comments.
Yep. So you want to leave your comments here. You can also email the podcast, skyguyspod@gmail.com. You want to care to take on the celebration news, some Andor stuff. You email us. We will read your comments on the air.
Yeah. Well, let's get to the celebration news. We have 3 day festivities. Mike, did you watch any of it? I watched a good amount of all the days. Just, it started, what, 10 p.m. our time?
Yeah.
I probably watched like 2 hours each night.
I saw you. I saw you threw some coffee on there. Make sure you're up late to be up on these.
Yeah, I was, if I was up, I had it on. Even if it was just in the background, it's just on YouTube, just a way to be there. It looks awesome. Really, I can't wait to have a guest on. Spoiler alert, we do have at least a guest or two coming in the future who was there. So it's really great to just speak to them about the experience of what it was like to be there, not only for the the convention, but just to be in Japan with all these different content creators and different Star Wars people, just seeing the city of Tokyo and everything.
Yeah, for sure. Here. So I mentioned at the top here. This required its own podcast. If we tried to do all this news with the Andor premiere, we'd have a 2 hour podcast. I don't want to give you guys that much content at once.
Right. We also might need to cut down on some of it just for this episode alone because there's so much in there. So we'll touch on everything we need to, and we'll start with movies.
Yeah,
That's
movies first.
the big stuff.
Yeah, I'll let you take the lead here because there's a lot going on here.
Sure. So I'm going to go in try to go in chronological order. So they had a Mandalorian and Grogu panel, which had Sigourney Weaver and Pedro Pascal there, and footage was shown of the show. They showed Weaver wearing an orange X-Wing jumpsuit. They showed a little bit of Zeb. They showed Road to the Hut from behind in like an arena. And there was a photo shown of Pascal with the Mandalorian armor with no helmet, knowing that he was at least there for a little bit himself rather than voices. And I think there's some footage out there. I don't know if we could see the footage, but at least we could see the images on our side, and looks real cool. We're only a little more than a year away from the movie and getting back to the theaters to see Star Wars, of course, unless you decide to go this weekend to see Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, so I think that was just the big thing takeaway from me there is that you got Pascal in the helmet. That's something in the suit. That's something we haven't had in season three, since season two. So getting Pascal back in the suit, I think is big.
Absolutely. That's really it for Mando. The movie's coming. We all know that. The next movie coming though was is the Sean Levy movie, which got a title. It's going to be called Star Wars Starfighter, and it's going to release in about a year later. It's going to release Memorial Day weekend of 2027, more specifically May 28th. Actually, it might be after Memorial Day now that I think about it. But and that movie's going to the rumors are true. Ryan Gosling will star in the movie, and the production begins this fall. And if you ask me what this is a way to test the waters. I think you had mentioned this to me, Mike, and I completely agree. It's a way to test the waters with what does Star Wars look like with a huge name actor in it being the lead. Now, we have had big actors in Star Wars before. I think I mentioned that on like on Reddit or Instagram or somewhere, and someone messaged me. They were like, "Well, I mean, Adam Driver's huge," and I want to like kind of debate that point where like he is, but he wasn't in 2015.
He's bigger now than he was when at
Yeah,
that point.
right. And Ryan Gosling is pretty much as big as he get now.
Yeah.
Before this. Like he's obviously made himself a name outside of Star Wars. So it's a test to see how that's going to work.
Yeah, I think the way I said it here, I'll bring it on the air here. This movie, and Gosling was there at Celebration. He was on stage with Sean Lee. They announced this movie, showed stuff. Apparently, he had like Star Wars veggies as a kid, so he's very excited about being in the franchise. So I look at it as basically you have two movies that are guaranteed to come out. Mando and Grogu is the existing content. Gosling movie is sort of the test of okay, if we put a big name star in it, will this do better than our IP by itself? So that like once you see how these do, I think this will reflect on what movies actually make it in for the next wave of stuff.
Yeah, which is leads us to our last point here. Kathleen Kennedy and Dave Filoni confirmed that there are 5 movies besides these two that are currently in development. Now that could be like way pre-production, everything, but the Ray movie that we've heard so much about that I think is going to get revamped into Episode 10.
Yep.
There's the James Mangold Dawn of the Jedi movie we've heard about. There's the Simon Kinberg new trilogy. Well, I was laughing saying that one, but there's the Taika Waititi movie that we heard so much about way back when. We haven't heard much about until this weekend. And then lastly, there's the Dave Filoni Mandoverse Avengers style movie, which let's just say they all get canceled. I still think this last one would happen because it would just get moved to Disney Plus as a release.
Yeah.
This one I think will happen because it's going to close out the Mandoverse and be some sort of Avengers team up with, I'm assuming, Thrawn being the main villain.
Yeah. I will the way I look at it is like if this Mando movie does not do well theatrically, they still are investing in closing out the storyline. So this might be like Netflix Defenders style where we have like a mini 8 episode miniseries on like Disney Plus where we sort of like wrap the whole thing up that way and sort of expand it out a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. And then the other ones we'll have to wait and see how these two movies do, the
Yeah.
Mando one and the Sean Levy one, because even with like the James Mangold Dawn of the Jedi movie, we're nowhere in that movie. We're nowhere. So
They're-
like,
a lot of the
if
a lot of the other ones are kind of like at that point where it's either like they're writing it basically is where it seems like
yeah,
these are. That's where the rest of them seem to be at this point. And they
right. And my
touched it.
point is, if the Mando movie flops, but the let's say the Ryan Gosling movie does well,
I
then
think
they can look at this Dawn of the Jedi movie and go, okay, now we know what we need to do. We got to get a big star and put him in this movie.
yes, I think that one. Like I look at it, like I think if Mando flops, I think the Ray movie kind of goes away for a little bit, and they wait 5 years and test the waters again. Then I think if the Gosling movie flops, I think you kiss the James Mangold movie goodbye.
So my fear, and I don't want to be negative, but my fear is that and I get why it takes a long time to make a movie. I'm not going to say this is anyone's fault, but my fear is that we're a little too late on this Mando train, and the love of the Mandalorian and Baby Yoda and the world revolving around Star Wars, like it did a little bit in 2019 and 2020 when season 1 and season 2 of that show came out. Like fall of 2019 was Baby Yoda ruled the internet. Fall of 2020, he ruled the internet. Like it's 5 years later now. By the time the movie comes out, 6 years later, people don't really care anymore. I'm a little worried about that.
Yeah, this is now we've gotten to like elementary school age Grogu.
Yeah, I listen. I am obviously still obsessed with the characters and the world and whatnot, and so are you. And I'm talking about the common folk who are, who are going to be the difference on whether this movie does well or amazing.
Yes. All right, so I think we're caught on the movie front here. I'll add one note on the Taika thing. It's funny. Kathleen Kennedy's more so invested in this Taika movie. He's like, Taika take all the time he needs. So it could be 2037. Taika says he's ready, they'll do it.
Right.
All right, so let's go to the TV side. There's a lot of TV stuff.
Yeah, so we have Andor season 2 coming. At time of recording, it's tomorrow. At
Yes.
time of release, I don't know how quickly we're going to push this episode out, but you either have just seen Andor or you're about to see Andor when you hear this pod.
You're about to see it. This will be out before that episode comes
All
out.
right, so we're going to do our best to get this thing out as soon as possible, but we have a bunch of news on Andor season 2. I'm just going to go through like all of it real quick and then we'll
You
just discuss.
you can shotgun it.
Yeah, so we have,
EP says, yeah.
who is this?
The executive producer, Son Wallenberg.
So, okay, Son Wollenberg says the scope is bigger than season 1, 140 sets, 7 stages, and just an all-around bigger show. We know that Mon Mothma's story is going to start on Chandrilla with the wedding, presumably her daughter's wedding, and then we're going to see her work under the eye of the Empire, stepping out of the shadows. So that's really cool. Looks like she's going to maybe publicly denounce everything, show, not hide the Empire, excuse me, the rebellion anymore.
Yep.
Denise Go
Yep.
says we got some backstory on Deidre or Dedra. We still are not really 100% sure on that pronunciation.
Yeah,
Uh,
we'll find out for sure when we watch an episode.
yep. Kyle Solar said the relationship between Karn and Deidre is really weird at the start, but offers a unique dynamic. If you watched the celebration, they were both up there and they were talking about how the dynamic between the two of them is just so creepy.
Yes.
So, Adria Jonah, I believe, who plays Bix, right?
Yeah. Adria Arjona plays Bix.
Yeah, she said that the season says that Bix starts the season away from Ferrex as she tries to reconstruct her life. Bix and Cassian come together throughout the season. Alan Tudyk, who's the voice of K2SO, says we will get to see the meeting between the two of them, which means that there will be a retcon in the comics, or they'll just show it. Like they'll show the comic version in live action. There's nothing wrong with seeing something from a different point of view. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they could always extend it out a little bit and like add some more context.
Similar to like talking about like in Rebels, we saw the mural on the wall, and then we saw the same scene in Ahsoka. That's not a retcon. That's just showing it in live action.
Yes.
So that could happen. The audience at the panel got to see the first episode of season 2. That
Yes.
was I heard only good things. No spoilers, obviously, that I heard.
Yep.
But some of the content creators that we've had on and that we follow and whatnot have only posted good things and told us good things about it. That's great.
Yep.
An extended trailer showed Admiral Raddus, who appeared in Rogue One. That seems like someone that I should have picked on my team.
Yeah, we
But
should have considered him.
yep. And Tony Gilroy said in a separate interview that episodes of Andor have been mixed for potential theatrical release, depending on how the season's received. So that could be a pretty cool way to show things off.
Yeah, I feel like you got to get like potentially either the like finale into Rogue One like remix like as a potential like screening. I would think that'd be a cool, especially like I mean it's got 98% Rotten Tomatoes this season so far. So I think like
Yeah.
I expect this will happen at some point.
I would love to see a way that we can get. You ever see like those theories online, the fan theories of the um Revenge of the Sith, the like extended cut, and it shows you all the stuff going on, like Order 66, how it happened everywhere, like Ahsoka's point of view, the Bad Batch's point of view,
Yeah.
Cal Kestis' point of view, like, everything.
Yeah, I would love this.
Yeah, that would be great. We'll move on to that's Andor. We'll be seeing it if you're listening to this episode the day it came out. You'll be watching Andor tonight,
Yeah, let's table all the discussion until we have Pete because Pete I'm sure wants to weigh in on this stuff.
right? All right, Ahsoka time.
Yes.
Ahsoka season 2. Dave Filoni wrote all 8 episodes. That confirms we have 8 episodes,
Yep.
and it's going to start production this week, which is
Yes.
crazy. And Rory McCann is Balin Skull. We knew that already, and we showed some photos of him.
I have it up for the YouTube version. I'll throw it up real
Yeah,
quick.
they showed some photos of him at the panel. He'd taken over the role from Ray Stevenson, and when you get that picture up, I already know the one you're going to call up, so I'll just say it. I think it looks great, as good as it can look. Obviously, he's not going to look like Ray Stevenson because he isn't Ray Stevenson, but I think he'll do a great job. He's a great actor. He's a great friend of Ray Stevenson. Great recast. I mean, it's unfortunate that you have to recast. You'll never capture that same magic, but you did the best you could do.
Yeah, he looks great in the shots we showed.
Yeah. Hayden Christensen's going to be back as Anakin in season 2.
Yes. Like I'm very excited about that.
Yep, the Ghost Crew, including Zeb, were confirmed to be coming back. It's good to see Zeb because
It
right
kind
now we're in that same timeline as Mando, so
yeah,
maybe we'll bridge some of the gaps there.
yeah, I was kind of worried with Zeb a little bit that they're going to just stick him in the Mando stuff and say, okay, he's busy doing his own thing, but like you kind of want the Ghost Crew reunion, which you're going to get. It sounds like in season two eventually.
And I'd like to see, see those bridges gaps. Like what's going on in Mando and what's going on here is supposed to be the same timeline. We don't know if it's exactly the same time. Like how Ahsoka season one, I think, is supposed to be after Mando season two, but not quite three. Like, let's bridge the gaps here and really figure this out and get this timeline sorted out.
Yeah, and I got a picture.
Admiral Akbar is going to be in season two, and he's going to set to face off with Thrawn.
Yeah, that'll be fun. I'm excited for that.
That'll be interesting.
I also want to add a note on Chopper here. Filoni promised more Chopper here, and there is concept art shown here. Chopper got like a machine gun, basically. So it's like he's back to being a war criminal. That kill
I
count.
mean, Chopper with a gun is terrifying. Chopper is already terrifying without a gun. So with a gun, something else. And the last thing here we have is the Disney Plus app says season two is going to drop in 2026, which we kind of thought. So this is
Confirmation.
yeah, a little bit of confirmation for us, or at least semi-confirmation. That's it for Ahsoka. One quick note: I know we already spoke on the Mandalorian and Grogu, but the Mandalorian, the television show, excuse me, Jon Favreau said it's too soon to see if we're going to see a fourth season. In other words, let's see how the movie does.
Yeah, pretty much that's exactly what it is. Because basically, if the movie flops, they will keep like the Mando 4 going. And no Pedro Pascal, spoiler for Last of Us, like he's not going to be on beyond this season in all likelihood. So, like, I think you're going to see, you might get him more involved in Mando 4 if there is a Mando 4.
Yeah. So again, spoiler alert with The Last of Us. He might still be around because there's an enormous amount of flashbacks, but
They
we'll
might,
see what they decide to do with that. I mean, if anything, it's less and less.
yes.
All
Okay.
right, let's move to the animation panel.
A lot happened
Or
there.
not really panel, but the animation section here. We have a new show. We predicted there was going to be a new show. We were right. We did not predict what the show was going to be, but we're very happy.
Yeah.
It is called Maul Shadow Lord. It will
He
take
won the
place.
character bracket back from
What's
back.
that?
He won the first bracket back in 2022. Now we know who won.
Yeah, that's right. The trailer showed Maul navigating his life between the Clone Wars and Rebels. So we're going to get Maul here. We're going to see what happened between him, escaping the, I guess, the Empire with Ahsoka at that point to we see him in Rebels. I'm assuming that means we get some Crimson Dawn stuff.
Yeah.
Probably Kira at some point.
Yeah.
Dryden and all them from Solo.
Yeah, we got some solo storylines picked up here. Plus, I'll get this next note here. I think it's interesting that like Sam Witwer was there. He voices Maul as to do it again here. He said that ideas from George Lucas's sequel trilogy will be incorporated into this show. So I don't know if you remember, we talked about this back when we did the abandoned Star Wars projects here. George's sequel trilogy had Maul as one of the main villains, and he was trained
Yes.
an apprentice. We saw that apprentice in the trailer there. They didn't release it why, but the footage there showed that this apprentice is going to be in this show.
Yeah, it's presumably Darth Talon.
Yep.
I don't know if any of this stuff is confirmed, but we think it's going to be Darth Talon. And yeah, so this is going to be just, I think, a really cool show. I'm really excited for it. I don't think we know anything besides 2026, though.
Yeah, it's coming 2026. It's all we know right now.
Yeah, fans were shown the first Ventress episode of Tales of the Underworld. It will explain how she survives the events of Dark Disciple. We needed that absolutely.
Yeah,
And then we move on from animated to anime for a little bit here.
yeah.
We have Visions. So Visions is going to get a volume three. It's going to come out this year in about 6 months and around Halloween, October 29th. It'll include sequel episodes to three of the previous shorts, The Duel, The Village Bride, and The Ninth Jedi.
That seems cool.
Yeah, and I really loved Vision season two. I think we all did.
Yeah,
Actually, I think the consensus on the world is that one was better than two, but
you were
the
the
consensus
opposite, kind
amongst
of.
the Sky Guys was two is better than one.
Yeah, I'm gonna look up here what season. I think these are all season one shorts they continued.
Well, The Ninth Jedi itself is going to get a spin-off series in 2026. So you're going to get Visions and then spin-off of Visions, which is a spin-off of a spin-off. That's where we are nowadays, huh?
Yeah, all three of those are season one spin-offs or season one episodes that they are getting spun off from. Was the very first one was the duel, and then I think the Village Bride and the Ninth Hour were four and five.
So maybe we go back and rewatch those before the season. We'll see. Last piece of animation news was Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy, the little, I guess, short movie, if you can call it.
It was a four-part series, the What If.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, they got a season two coming, and it's going to come this September.
Yes, we saw Ashley Eckstein's gonna be in it voicing Brickhead Ahsoka. That's gonna be fun. And I guess I told Pete the toys sold well enough that they made more.
Yep, yep. And we like those a lot. Those Disney, or excuse me, those Lego Star Wars shows, movies, whatever. They have a lot of fun. They're a fun time.
Yeah, I cannot wait to get to that. It's like after bracket season.
And Mike, why don't you cover the miscellaneous stuff?
Sure, there's some interesting stuff here. I'll start out here with EA started out in the video game front. They revealed Star Wars Zero Company, a turn-based tactics game which is a new customizable team led by a Republic commander named Hawks, using various missions towards the ends of the Clone Wars. I know you were not big on the turn-based tactics games. Is this sound more interesting now we know that it's Clone Wars based and we've seen like you got a Jedi, a Mandalorian, you got a new clone on your team. Does that interest you anymore?
So this is not interesting to me, but this is very interesting in general. People are gonna like this. This is gonna do really well. This is gonna make them a lot of money. People are gonna like this game. It's just not for me.
Yeah. So you're out, but you think it's going to sell very well for EA.
Yeah, I think this is a good idea. I'm happy they're doing it. It's just not something I'm gonna get involved with, really.
If we're going to get new clone content, I'm fine putting the clone here instead of having another clone show.
Yeah, I mean, we got a new show. It wasn't Clone. There may be some clones in that mall show, but really, they're not going to be the focus, and that's really good.
Yeah. Next up here, Mage Sensei was there. They had a panel with him talking about playing Chimere. A fan gave him a helmet that from his character on the stage. He rocked. That was pretty cool. We had a bunch of fans there chanting for season two of The Acolyte. He said nothing. The host said nothing. So the outcry is still there, but as of right now, no plans for Acolyte 2 confirmed.
I just think that there's a lot of loud people on both sides,
Yeah.
and it's very hard for Disney and anyone to really see what people thought of the show because you have people who love it, they're so outspoken about it, people who hate it, they're review bombing it, and it's very hard to gauge what people actually thought.
I think what this tells me, the fact that we brought him and not anything about the show, means they want him. They want Manager Sinto in something at some point.
I think they should. He was the breakout star of the show. We all agreed on that.
Yeah. So
Uh,
I
if
think
they do something in the future with him, it'd be great.
they have planned something for him in the future, a few years down the line. I don't think they want to touch the character of the show property right now.
Right.
All right. Next up on the list here, Smuggler's Run. It's on the ride in the star at the Galaxy's Edge as a revamped storyline beginning on May 22nd, 2026, based on the Mandalorian and Grogu. Ship takes off on Batu and visits Tatooine for the crew, aka you guys on the ride. Choose the next destination, either Bespin, Endor, or Coruscant. The engineer also gets to interact with Grogu. Nick is our most recent visitor to Smuggler's Run, Galaxy's Edge. Like, how do you feel about the revamp?
I think it's great, but if I'm on the car, if I'm or the ship, if I'm in the cockpit,
Oh, you're going to
and,
Coruscant.
and my group chooses anything other than Coruscant, I'm going to flip out and get back online.
I think it's that the engineer picks the destinations. I think you have to get that engineer spot if you want
Oh
that.
my God, it's not even a vote. It's one person. So it's just one person who doesn't know anything. Because, yeah, let's get real. The majority of people on the line don't know what they're doing. They're just there to have fun. They're going to pick Bespin and Endor. No one's going to pick Coruscant. And it's going to be awful. Although, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd love to see the Bespin and I'd love to see the Endor stuff. But I would see the Coruscant stuff. Let's just say 8 out of 10 times.
Yeah, and you get to interact with Grogu for the engineers. They made the engineer more important this time around.
If I remember correctly, the pilot was the only fun part, if I'm being
Yep.
honest.
Yeah, now they made it so you have more fun parts.
Yeah, that's one of the only problems with that ride is if you don't get the pilot, like the guns don't even do anything. You can literally not shoot your gun the whole time and it still shoots.
Yep. All right. Two more things here before we wrap up the episode here. The next Star Wars celebration take place from April 4th, 1st, April 4th, 2027 in LA. To commemorate the 50th anniversary of the franchise and set up Starfighter's release about a month and a half later. So US bound celebration for the first time in a couple of years. Remember, 2022 was Europe, or 2023 was Europe, 25 was in Japan. Now 27 will be in LA.
I We don't live very close to LA. It might be the furthest possible destination within the continental United States.
Yep.
But I don't know. I'm not gonna say I'm going, but
You're,
I'm gonna say the percentage chance that I'm going is not zero, but it's probably less than 10%.
it went up a little bit because it's not international.
Right. I'd say there's a small chance, but I wouldn't count on it. I'd love to go. It would be one of the coolest things. Although, to be honest with you, I'd probably rather go if it was international. Obviously, there's a money aspect there, but it'd be nice to see a city. Like I've been to LA before. It's not. Never
Yep.
been to Tokyo.
Yeah. All right. So the last thing, this is came after Celebration. This is I thought it was interesting here. Remember Star Wars Eclipse, Nick?
Remember the trailer and how it's never going to happen.
Yeah, well, the Twitter account for the game was reactivated on Monday, day of recording, and encouraged fans to visit the website to sign up for updates. And they quote tweeted the celebration announcement and said, "We'll be there." So they are hinting that they're going to be at Celebration 2027 with an update on this mystical game we have not heard about for 5 years.
Um, I hope it comes out. Like even the games that everyone says sucks. Everyone liked Outlaws, which we didn't mention Outlaws. We're gonna mention Outlaws on this. Um, we'll do a small video game section, but or just add it to the miscellaneous here. That we'll do add one more item. But even the games people don't like, I love it. So I'm excited for. I'm really excited for Eclipse for to maybe to come out. I don't think it's going to, but if it does, I'm gonna play it. So I hope it does.
I just thought it was worth mentioning because their actual Twitter account showed back up for the first time in a couple of years.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, we all are in agreement it's in development hell. I'm not counting on it, but if it does come, I'm more than happy to give it a try.
The more recent update we've heard from the KOTOR remake. So,
Right. Yeah, which is another one.
yep. All
And
right.
then last piece, I'll go over it because I'm the Outlaws guy around here.
Yep.
They had Hondo on the stage.
Yep.
It was an epic moment. The host kept mentioning how we need more Hondos. We're not alone in that. Everyone's agreeing. And they announced finally the second DLC for Outlaws. The first one was the wild card one. We went on that casino ship. The second one will be pirate themed. It focuses around Hondo and will release on May 15th.
All right. So if Nick will play that and give us the update on it.
Yeah, if you have the season pass, I believe I hope, because I bought the season pass, I hope it was worth it. But I think that DLC is already purchased. And if you did not buy the season pass, you have to purchase that DLC. Unfortunately, I'm not aware of the price. I really have no idea what it is. But
Yeah.
uh, yeah, so if you have it, if you deleted it off your console, time to re-download Outlaws in a few weeks.
All right, so that's it for the celebration news this week here. So we'll get Pete's big takeaways on the next episode of the podcast. It'll be out on Thursday night here, the Andor premiere arc recap. So we have fun episodes. Remember, recording on Thursday night. So Thursday night, late night will be when you get this in your feed.
I hope that we are done recording by the time my New York Football Giants make a selection that haunts me for the next couple of years.
Yep, we'll see what happens there, Nick. Thanks again for coming on. One more time, if you want to follow us on social media, how can I do that?
At Sky Guys Podcast pretty much everywhere, and at Sky Guys Pod if you want to email the pod.
Yep, because of follow me on social media, M Phillips 331. It's MPHILLIPS 331. As I mentioned, next up here, Andor premiere coverage. We'll be back with that in a couple of days. Until then, may the force be with you.